Good day, everyone. Welcome to Galactic Geographic, brought to you by SSNN. I am Liam Farrell, your guide for today, and on this day we'll be looking at the fascinating ecosystem of Gamma Vulpes I and all the flora and fauna that make up this little slice of heaven in the settled systems. I'll go over all the relative planetary data before we descend to the surface to give it a proper up-close and personal Galactic Geographic view. Join me on this scenic adventure, and let's hop into this. Now, friends, as I said, let's take a look at this planet from the safety and comfort of our ship in orbit. Gamma Vulpes I is a habitable world in the Gamma Vulpes system located in the more sparsely populated galactic eastern region of the settled systems. The planet has a weak magnetosphere, but the gravity on the planet is almost equal to that of Earth, being only 2% stronger. Interestingly enough, the rotation of this planet is roughly half as slow as the rotational speed of Earth, making the days here last for 34 hours. If you're looking for it, it's due almost directly to the galactic east of the Parima system. Looking at the planet itself, Gamma Vulpes I is host to a modest amount of resources. The planet offers chlorine, copper, water, chlorosalines, and lithium. It also has a couple of planetary features of note, both an ecological consortium and a global glacial recession that have left marks on the surface. Gravitational anomalies are also possible on this planet. The ecological consortium refers to the large clusters of dense roots, fibers, and other biotic structures that merge into a nutrient-rich storage cluster that sits in large craters. These craters have small plant fibers blowing about in the winds of the planet to help to proliferate plant life in the harsher environments of Gamma Vulpes I, not only through gathering nutrients to spur plant growth, but also by sitting in low spots to collect and hold the precious few drops of water that may fall in the sandy deserts. Global glacial recession refers to the rapid disappearance of large glaciers that would have once covered large parts of the planet. In the frozen plains biome, there can be found large glacial remnants. These melting remnants of a retreating glacier indicate a rapidly changing landscape due to a rapid climate change. If the rest of the planet is anything to go off of, it seems temperatures on Gamma Vulpes I are fairly rapidly increasing with a lower than average rate of humidity, resulting in most of its landmass being sandy deserts. In regards to biomes, there are 3 of them spread across the planet. A majority of the planet, 62% of it, is covered in oceans, slightly less than there were in the old Earth days. Of the remaining 38% of the planet where we can actually land, roughly 30% of it is sandy desert, and the last 8% are the frozen plains at either of its 2 poles. This means that Gamma Vulpes I is a planet that is very hostile to life, but somehow several species make their home here. I'll be breaking down the types of flora and fauna that can be found in each biome in just a minute. But before that, please take a moment for a word from our sponsor.
Hey there, spacefarers. Do you find yourself falling asleep in the long haul through the space lanes? Do you constantly feel worn out by the differences in local time on planets? Whether you're hauling cargo to New Atlantis or just going to visit Grandma in Aquila City, you need an energy drink that will keep you alert without the crash and with great flavor. Allow me to introduce you to Dubby Energy. Dubby offers a variety of flavors for all the discerning palates out there. From powders to shakers, from pre-made cans to t-shirts, there is plenty on offer from Dubby.gg. If you're cautious about trying something new in the energy drink arena, fear not, because for a limited time, use code DoodleFan at checkout to receive a massive 20% off your entire order. Order Dubby Energy today.
Welcome back, everyone. Now let's move on to the life forms that exist on the surface of Gamma Vulpes I. In terms of notable flora, there are a total of 8 different plant species spread across 3 biomes of the planet. The first of these notable plants is the chillhook, a massive cactus that grows in the frozen plains of Gamma Vulpes I. This cactus stands nearly twice as tall as a human male and has a large purple flower at the top that bends into a hook. Given the environment it lives in and the shape of the flower, the namesake of the chillhook is completely logical. The root of this plant is rather nutritious in order to feed the massive plant in this environment and can be used as a nutritional supplement should it be needed. Next, let us look at the dune tangle, a large pinkish-brown root that grows out of the sandy deserts of Gamma Vulpes I. Standing easily 10 feet tall, the dune tangle is capable of producing seeds that are quite fibrous and can be used as a fiber supplement while grafting. Hecate's fireleaf is a large tree that grows in the sandy deserts of Gamma Vulpes I. It can grow to heights of roughly 10 feet and is most prominently known for its bright red leaves that grow from its many branches. The name of the plant is peculiar, but it does have one notable reason for existing. Hecate was the ancient Greek goddess of religion and mythology. While those are irrelevant to the name, a popular depiction of her includes her holding torches, which very well could be a reference to the red leaves taking place of the torches. The sap of this tree is extremely toxic, so care must be taken when harvesting and transporting this sap. The iceblood vine is a tree with a stringy appearance and pink fibrous growths growing from its branches. When the leaves of this plant are gathered, they can be used as a metabolic agent. The iceblood vine can be found both in the frozen plains of Gamma Vulpes I and is identical to the iceblood vine also found on Hyla II. How the same plant species is on both planets remains as speculation. A pleasant-looking plant amongst the tan and gray of the desert is the sandy golden glow. Standing roughly 10 feet tall with thin yellow branches, the sandy golden glow lives up to its name. In contrast to the bright yellow branches and leaves, the flower atop the sandy golden glow is a dark brown or black and can be quite challenging to reach. If the tree is tapped, the sap is notably different than that of Hecate's fireleaf, and that it is quite nutritious, keeping one alive instead of killing them on the spot. The stinging flutterleaf of Gamma Vulpes I is quite the marvel to behold. Looking both pleasant and dangerous, the stinging flutterleaf lives up to its name. The pink leaves of the plant are very light and almost flower petal-esque in their appearance, gently fluttering in the breeze of the sandy deserts where they grow. From the branches that produce these leaves also come massive spiky green seed pods. Take care when handling these seed pods as to not sustain any injuries. The inside of these pods must be protected from the harsher environments it exists in, and as such needs to seal in the water. The stalk of this pod can act as a quality sealant. The sweet fumewort is a plant that upon first inspection does not appear to be in fact a plant at all. Instead, it almost seems to be a fleshy xeno egg. It has rough, ribbed skin that goes from dark purple to a lighter green as it grows upwards. Once it reaches full maturity, after growing taller than a human male, a rather large seed pod will grow atop the fumewort. This pod is rather hardy and rough in order for the seeds inside to be safely transplanted into the soils of the sandy deserts of Gamma Vulpes I. Given the toughness of the pod and the harsher environments the plant exists in, the pods have roots growing out of them that help the new plant to grow rather quickly, acting as a metabolic agent in other areas as well. The final plant of note on Gamma Vulpes I is the Wanderer's Husk. Surprisingly, the Wanderer's Husk of Gamma Vulpes I is identical to the one found on Fermi III, with a difference only in its viable gatherable material. Found in the deserts and frozen plains, the Wanderer's Husk has an appearance similar to that of the yucca plants of old Earth. Having thick, wooden stalks with long, thin, coarse leaves, the Wanderer's Husk also produces a seed pod at the top of its stalks once the leaves have died off and the plant has gone dormant. In a strangely disturbing fashion, the seed pods have the appearance of an upside-down human skull. While the plant will continue to live on during its hibernation, this is the ideal time for these seed pods to be detached and transplanted elsewhere, making it easy pickings for any passing explorer. The roots of this plant are quite strong and sturdy, making them a good supplemental structural material. Regarding the fauna of Gamma Vulpes I, there are 8 different species of animals that make this hostile planet their home. Let's start with the flame-thorn filterer. One of the smaller herbivores to inhabit Gamma Vulpes I, the flame-thorn is a smaller insectoid creature with 10 short, skittering legs, a long tail, and 4 long spike-like protrusions on its back. Its body is strangely split in the middle, being connected where the tail forms, the center being open, then being connected again at the head that resembles a hammerhead shark of old Earth. Like many smaller creatures, the flame-thorn filter is a peaceful creature without many defenses aside from a harvestable toxic gland within, giving it a post-mortem method of eliminating predators. Facially similar to the flame-thorn filter, but being on the complete opposite end of the size spectrum, is the hammersaur that roams the sandy deserts of Gamma Vulpes I. The hammersaur is a massive carnivorous reptilian creature that stands at least 12 feet tall. A large ridge of sharp spikes runs along the length of its back from its head to its 3-pronged tail. Looking at the overall body shape, the hammersaur is very reminiscent of the Tyrannosaurus rex of ancient old Earth. It features 2 strong legs for locomotion, a large thick tail for balance that splits into 3 equal sections, and relatively small arms. Unlike the rex, however, the hammersaur has 2 pairs of clawed arms. Moving up to its head, one can see where the beast gets its namesake from. Looking much like the extinct hammerhead shark of old Earth, the hammersaur has a thin, wide head that extends to a point on either side with a sharp crest sitting atop its forehead. There are also 2 massive, deadly pincer-like mandibles on the outside of its primary jaw. These pincers are used to eviscerate prey and to help scoop said prey into mouth for consumption. Potentially problematically, the hammersaur has been observed roaming in pairs, likely having a single mate over their lifetimes. Despite its size, the hammersaur does not instinctively see human beings as food, and will instead warily emit warning roars to any human that wanders too close. Oddly enough, should one be slain, grinding up the bones of this creature can serve as a spice additive. The next creature to discuss today is the lionfish filter that inhabits the vast oceans of Gamma Vulpes I. Unlike the fish of ancient Old Earth where it derives its namesake from, the lionfish filter is a massive aquatic creature, easily longer than a human male. If anything, the fish is more akin to the extinct manta ray of Old Earth in terms of body structure. It has two large wings of sorts that help it glide through the water while also having four flippers on the bottom of its large, flat body. At the end of the fish is two forward-facing eyes and a wide mouth. The forward-facing eyes would indicate predatory behavior, but in regards to humans, the lionfish is entirely defensive. Along its back runs a spine of spikes ending at a long tail. The vital fluids of this fish can be quite viscous and can act as a supplemental adhesive when needed. SSNN is putting out a warning to any viewers with entomophobia, as the next creature to discuss is the longhorn herbivore. A large blue beetle, the longhorn herbivore is a defensive creature that roams in great packs across the sandy deserts of Gamma Vulpes I. While they are preyed upon by the rockhounds and hammersaurs of the desert, the longhorn herbivore will challenge any creature that approaches with an aggressive dance of sorts while emitting sounds to ward off danger. Unfortunately for the longhorn, anything that would potentially prey upon them are not deterred by this dance at all. Regarding humans, however, this dance appears to be a bluff, as regardless of distance, the longhorn will not initiate combat. In order to retain its moisture in its environment, the vital fluids of the longhorn act as a quality sealant to ensure no water escapes its large blue shell. Roaming the sands in packs, the rockhound is a creature that doesn't appear to make any biological sense. Seemingly made from stone, or at least some very chitinous exterior resembling rock, the rockhound is a quadrupedal predator on Gamma Vulpes I. Running in packs from 2 to 6 members, the rockhound frequently preys upon the herbivores that share its sandy desert environment. Looking at the creature, it is unclear how exactly it consumes any of its prey, so Galactic Geographic will not speculate on such matters. Beneath the chitinous exterior of the rockhound is a hide that appears to have an abundance of macromolecules, allowing it to be used as a polymer substitute in crafting applications. Next up is the round-shell grazer, a large crustacean that wanders the sandy deserts of Gamma Vulpes I. Living up to its name, the round shell is most notable for its massive, round shell that gives the animal an appearance of relatively great height, being roughly as tall as a human male. However, protruding from the front of the shell, directly above the crustaceanal face of the round shell, is a jagged spike-line protrusion. Normally, one may see this protrusion and suspect it to be some sort of offensive weapon for catching prey. However, that duty falls instead to its large forward-facing pincers. Instead, Galactic Geographic speculates that this forward-facing horn is a natural defensive adaptation intended to keep the much larger hammersaur at bay. Granted, this adaptation does not actually work as intended, so perhaps that speculation is incorrect. When approached, the round shell will emit a warning cry, much the same as the longhorn herbivore. However, unlike the longhorn, if the round shell comes too close to the target it is warning, it will actively engage in combat, frequently leading to the demise of the round shell. Beneath the large shell of the round shell, which can itself come in a variety of colors, sits the soft tissue underneath. This tissue, if ingested, functions as a strong hallucinogen, most likely only sought after by the less than savory denizens of the settled systems. Now onto one of the smaller denizens of Gamma Vulpes I, the snuffler. Being roughly the size of a small canine, the snuffler is a creature that almost appears to have jumped straight off the pages of a children's storybook. It has a small, soft, almost gelatinous frame with one large nose-like protrusion from the front of its very alien face. Its eyes almost appear to be full of cataracts given the color, but it is highly unlikely that it is blind, given it seems to perceive when field crew are nearby. It also has a small mouth just below its nose near the ground, likely to easily grab any small morsels of food that it may come across in the sandy deserts or frozen plains that this creature calls home. Despite its size, lack of strength, and slow speed, field crews have not witnessed the snuffler being preyed upon by any other creatures. This may be in part due to the creature's vital fluids being incredibly viscous, so much so that they can act as an effective sealant, certainly not something any predator would want to ingest. The final creature of note is one with a familiar face, the tongue-faced grazer. Unpleasant-looking beast, the tongue-face derives its namesake from the dangling protrusions that hang from its mouth atop its long neck. Looking reminiscent of giraffes from the time of Old Earth, the tongue-face has a slightly awkward gait, due in no small part to its wide trunk-like legs and feet, combined with its awkwardly long neck. These creatures are not hostile, and despite their nearly identical looks compared to the tongue faces of Hyla II, the tongue faces of Gamma Vulpes I are much shorter, being just about as tall as a human male and being much less plentiful. Rarely seen in packs in the sandy deserts, the tongue faces flee from any and all potentially hostile creatures. The vital fluids of these creatures contribute to their slower metabolic rate, allowing them to survive in the sparsely vegetated deserts. As such, these fluids make for fine metabolic agents for crafting and processing. And thus concludes this episode of Galactic Geographic. Today we explored Gamma Vulpes I, from its flora and fauna to the conditions of the planet itself. I am glad to have been able to host this episode for you, and everyone on the Galactic Geographic team hopes to see you again. If you learned anything today, please let us know in the comments below. If you'd like, feel free to subscribe via SSNN to catch all the latest episodes as we explore the settled systems together. So that is all today, explorers. I hope your adventures bring you joy and excitement, and stay safe out there in the space lanes. I've been your host, Liam Farrell, and until next time, gentle viewer, we will see you again, sometime, somewhere, amongst the stars.